Okay, please raise your hands and I'll call on you before each question. Are you ready to get started? Jesse?
Coach, I guess I'm going to start with you. You know, it looks like both Brindley and Bardakov will be on with you guys. I guess just for those two, what was it that jumped off the page for you guys about both those players?
I think both guys had really strong camps, practices, games, and kind of in different ways too. So it gives us a little bit different look with each guy in the lineup. For me, Bardakov, we talked about him, big, heavy, strong guy, committed on the defensive side, plays a physical style, killed some penalties for us. And for me, his position would be fourth line center. And then you got a smaller, speedy guy with a great motor that works his butt off. Every time he touches the ice, he's highly competitive, and I think he adds some skill to our lineup in Brindley. So it gives us, some different options. I like the way both of those guys played. I think they earned the right to be here for now, and yeah, we'll give them both some opportunity here early in the season.
Go back there.
At the beginning of the season, we talked about experimenting with some guys at 3C. It seems like Jack Drury is kind of in that spot. Can you talk to me a little bit about what you've seen from him?
Yeah, I mean, because he's an elite 4C, in my opinion, that he had the leg up on that position coming into camp, especially knowing that I'd like to keep Colton on the wing and play on the third line. We saw Kelly in center, Bardakov, Drury, and Colton. Colton's, game time was cut short a little bit because he had the injury. Knowing that I just feel more comfortable with him over there and the responsibility of Jack and what he's able to do. I mean, he's a rock solid defender. I think he's got more upside to his offensive game than we've seen even here. And sometimes it just takes a little boost with the guys that you're playing with, guy like Olofsson, guy like Colton. I think he can get in the mix there and help us create some offense. That's why he won the job.
Erik?
We've talked a lot over the last few years of, Valeri Nichushkin having some on-ice things, but I guess physically on the ice, he's also a player I don't think he's ever played, close to 82 games with you guys, particularly. Where are you guys with him physically this season, and how reliable do you think he can be on it, in terms of physically being able to play?
I think that he's missed some games over time with some injuries here and there. I don't see any issue ever since he's been here with him being able to play a full season. He's one of the most physically fit guys we have. He's one of the most dedicated guys in the gym. His off-ice habits when it comes to getting himself prepared, with his recovery, lifts, all that, I don't see any reason, no problem at all. He missed time because of some off-ice issues. He's missed some time with some injuries. Injuries are part of the game, but I think this is a guy that's physically prepared to go through the war of the season.
Corey, then Jesse.
For Chris, we're at the end of camp and Martin Necas still doesn't have a contract. Just where does things stand there, and just how does this situation compare or not compare to where things were with Miko last year?
I've chatted with the agent. We're not going to get into the day-to-day, week-to-week type of stuff. We'd like to get something done. So I think that's kind of the update. Any free agent to be, you see there's a number of them still out there, and when you find the connection, and it gets announced sometimes early, sometimes mid-year, sometimes late, and that's the challenging part of the business. But we're super excited to have Marty and think he has a fantastic role and he's an important player for us.
Jesse, then Evan.
Chris, building on that, you said number of free agents out there. We see Kirill Kaprizov signed for $17 million 2 weeks ago. Connor McDavid for $12.5 today. How much does that influence your guys' conversations? In terms of markets being set or whatever, or do you guys just negotiate based on what's in front of you?
I think it's a little bit of both. I'm not going to comment on Kaprizov or McDavid. Obviously, they're two great players and really important to their respective franchises. So, kudos to them for getting it done. But I think this one, I think they're all kind of different in certain regards. Everybody has a different cap than we do, or Edmonton. not everybody has a McKinnon or a McCarr on the horizon. So I think there's different points and where you are in your cycle and what you already have that plays into it. So, the bottom line is we want to get something done, and we'll see if we can at some point, but I'm not worried about it.
Evan, then we'll do Sean.
Jared, we saw McKenzie join the group today. Kind of where is he going to be traveling tomorrow, and kind of where is he at in his recovery?
He's not going to travel tomorrow because it's just more conducive to his, the work that he needs to put in to get back with the team. I think, but he's obviously improving. Yeah, like the goal was to get him in with our group a little bit today when we get back off the road. Take the travel out of it. He's just better here, gym here with some of our guys doing his recovery work, his rehab, and then getting on the ice with UC. So UC's going to stay back with him as well.
Sean, then Colleen.
For both you guys, the core has grown up together and seen so many great things, but time kind of marches on. Do you have to do load management with so many over 32-year-old players, and does that, Chris, factor in you roster building and roster maintenance for both you guys? I have commanded 10 this year.
Yeah, it's not something that we talk about daily or weekly with our group. I think all of our players when they're healthy, they want to play, obviously, right? Everybody that's what they want to do. Do I think Bedsy and the staff and stuff are gonna be smart, particularly with Landeskog, right? We're gonna glean information on how he does and back-to-backs or 3 and 4s or 4 and 6s and his practice schedule. But we've got a pretty good grip on that, and I trust our staff and Landy himself. So the goal is to get him in as many games and keep him as healthy as possible. He's a really important player. So I think we'll glean that information as he does, how he feels, and we'll read and react off that.
Yeah, when it comes to the rest of the roster, like Alexei Pianosi does a really good job of giving me information on our players' rest and recovery. We track multiple different numbers and get the sports science involved and make sure we're giving them enough rest. But we kind of manage, I guess our load management is done by length of practice, difficulty when it comes to workload for practice. I talk with him post games and say one morning like this morning, we get the green light to be okay to go as long as hard as we want, and that they're rested and they'll be rested for tomorrow. And so we take that information we get from our strength and conditioning department and medical staff into account basically daily to set up ourselves with the schedule so our guys can play every night and not have to rest guys during games.
Colleen, and then Will.
Talking to Gabe about getting this season started from media day, he said that the chemistry and the energy of the team has been just kind of growing, and since then it's been obviously long training camp. But how do you see this team getting to their game as quickly as possible to start the season?
Well, it starts with the work you put into training camp. I think we focus there were some longer days in there, but there was also a lot of shorter, more focused, quality over quantity days in there. I like the training camp. I thought we had intensity to it. I like their games that we played. We didn't get to see our full group together a lot throughout the course of training camp. So that will start tomorrow. We saw them a little bit in Vegas. I think that there was a little bit of, it's just exhibition, type of attitude, but we saw our team play pretty hard and do a lot of good things. And I expect us now, knowing the importance of a good start is to our season, that we're going to come out tomorrow and dial up the intensity. But the detail's been good, the focus has been good, the energy's been good. So I think everyone's just kind of looking forward to puck drop tomorrow night.
Will, then Megan.
Chris, making 8-9 trades last year, I assume you don't envision having to make that many moves in the season this year. Is it nice for you to feel like the roster's a little more settled and this is the core that you're ultimately pursuing the cup with this year?
Well, it's certainly, last year at this time, we were certainly starting the year with missing a bunch of key guys. So from that standpoint, getting through training camp, we had some bumps and bruises, obviously, and, we just got Sammy Girard back and Blackwood hopefully here right around the corner. So Yeah, you wanna get through the preseason and start with as close to your group as possible. I think Bedsy said it, a few minutes ago, that hockey's hockey and it's a contact sport and stuff tends to happen. So, I think we've got some depth. Hopefully, obviously, you don't want to plan. You can't plan for anything like that. So, but definitely excited that the regular season is about to commence for sure.
Megan, then Bailey.
What can you tell me about Ilya Solovyov and his fit on the back end, including the big picture fit and the trickle-down effect of needing to make decisions around players like Keaton Middleton?
I think Ilya Solovyov is a player that obviously our scouts have seen a lot, both in terms of our scouts covering Calgary's system and going back to his draft year, but also up the road. The Eagles and the Wranglers have played quite a few hockey games over the last few years, and I think what you see with Ilya is a big body guy who knows what he is. He's a defender. He's a penalty killer. He's got extremely good PK metrics throughout his career. We're just looking for him to come in to see if he can be firm, shut down plays, and move the puck efficiently. And as a left shot, that certainly was something that we were looking at, and has been a big frame guy that we'll see. He's gonna we obviously have to get immigration cleared, and then it's another piece of the puzzle that Bedsy and his staff can assess and look at and at some point see what he's got. He doesn't have a ton of NHL experience, but he's got a ton of North American pro experience. And between our pro guys and our analytics guys and watching him the last few years, we felt it was a dart worth throwing.
Last ones, go ahead, Bailey, and we'll finish up here.
EJ's presser today, he had a long laundry list of people to thank who have impacted his career. I'm wondering if you can speak on the impact he's had here in Colorado, both on and off the ice.
Well, immense. EJ obviously was here before I got here, and have had the pleasure of getting, watching him play, but also getting to know him. As a person, he's a super positive guy. He hit on it there. He's always had that team first mentality. He always has a smile on his face, and going, we had some rough years here early on, and EJ, his demeanor, his attitude, his approach, never changed. So, to see the growth from going through that, and then the ascension of the team, he was certainly a big part of that as a key, I think he was being a little bit humble. He was a very good player on very good teams as our team, started winning after that rough year. So he means the world to us, means the world to me, and I wish him, I know he'll be good at whatever he does.
Erik, then we'll finish with Rachel.
Chris, on paper, the top six you built, the talent level is definitely up there, probably with the best in the league, but what's gone into your decision to double, triple, quadruple down with a group? You've had the Landeskog issues, Lekkonen's had unlucky injuries, Val, like you mentioned, has had unlucky injuries. What's gotten you to double down on this core at the top of the forward group?
Double down, I just think we're a good hockey team. I think we've got good pieces. I think, we've got a Cale Makar and, a Nathan McKinnon, the names you mentioned, Taser, obviously, again, it's COVID hurt us. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it, and then the uncertainty of Gabe's situation and the unfortunate stuff with Val, but that stuff's in the past. We're trying to build a good hockey team that can compete, first of all, in our division and in the West, and then see where it rolls. But I think our guys, what Bedsy and our players have done is that they have a chance, and I think the organization's job is to try and give them as good a chance as possible, and their play dictates that. And I think over the last 7-8 years, their play has consistently dictated that, and hopefully it will continue to do so this year as well.
Yeah, Rachel?
For Chris or Jared, to end on a fun note, going back to the EJ news, he'll be working with altitude and some aspects being on television. How do you think he'll do, and what should I be prepared for when I have to work with him directly?
I would be prepared for all sorts of shenanigans because when this guy gets part of a group, you know, like he's gonna have a lot of fun with it. And he's a prankster, he's a funny guy, he's a jokester, and I would expect that to continue when he integrates himself with the altitude crew. I also think he's gonna be really good at that. You know, he's a talker, he's really outgoing, he's always got a smile on his face, and he'll bring a fun, energetic style to it as only he can do. But I would be prepared to be pranked multiple times.
Can't wait.
Okay, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.
Appreciate it.